Welcome back to Ferris Sports Update. Time to check in with women's basketball, joined by head coach Kurt Westendorp. Coach, welcome to the show.
Glad to be back.
Obviously glad to be back after a big road win for your team as you went up to Lake Superior State and got a much-needed road victory in a tough place to play.
Yeah, definitely a much-needed win after the previous week, dropping 2 at home. You know, it's kind of nice to kind of get back on the road a little bit, kind of get into our road routine. So I think our girls did a great job against, like you said, it's a tough opponent. You know, Lake State, they're more near the bottom of the league standings, but they had a winning record on their home court. So we knew going into it was going to be a battle, and it went kind of right down to the end. And luckily, we made a few more plays than they did in those last 3 minutes and really toughed it out.
How much does a win like that give you some confidence going in not only to the final week of the regular season, but also into the conference tournament?
It's huge every time you just have an opportunity to win on the road, knowing that we're probably going to be going on the road for our first game in the conference tournament. So kind of just building that momentum, building those habits of like, okay, this is how we travel. You know, this is how you get to the gym. You know, those are the things that we have to keep doing every game now for these last 2 regular season games, which are really important for seeding and standings. And then we know we'll be on the road again in the tournament. So it's just kind of nice to get into that routine early, kind of get into that tournament mode even before you're in the tournament. You know, you kind of trick yourself a little bit to get your mindset to where you have to be. So when you get there and you're kind of facing your own mortality a little bit, once you get to that tournament game where it is win or go home, you feel like you've been there before.
As we go to the highlights of Saturday's game, Lake Superior, kind of unique. You're a little short in terms of the rotations here with illness and injury here in the ball game.
Yeah, we were a little banged up. You know, Mia Riley was back home sick. You know, she caught a little stomach bug that I had earlier in the week, so I knew she wasn't going to be up for it. And then Deshauna Day kind of tweaked her ankle a little bit again, which is tough for us to see that we were a little bit shorthanded. But you know, Lake State had a girl that was injured as well, and they had a girl that was homesick. So kind of everyone's dealing with it this time of the year. But yeah, it was a little bit shorter on our rotation, so I think we only played 7 players, and you know, the bulk of them played pretty heavy minutes. So it was nice to see, you know, those that were out there. I think we were in pretty darn good shape, which is kind of allows us to keep playing hard for all 40 minutes. But it was nice to see that group really come together and get it done down the stretch.
Obviously, Lake Superior here in this first quarter got off to a strong start, 19-13 lead, and as expected, playing well here at home on Senior Day.
Yeah, they came out hot. They had some kids that really like that shot, like you're seeing right there. It's not really hesitating at all. They're kind of seeing it and letting it fly, and that's one of the things. Like I said, they had a winning record at home for a lot of those reasons. They play with a lot of confidence. They don't need a lot of room to get shots off. You know, in most of these, our defense isn't really having huge breakdowns. We're just a half step late getting there, and they took advantage early. But luckily, we had a nice big second quarter. You see in there, Grace Sullivan do a great job of getting to the rack a couple times. You know, we were really able to get ourselves going offensively in that second quarter to take the lead into half.
You mentioned Grace Sullivan. How big was her play with some of the injuries and illness she had?
It was excellent that she stepped up. She was able to kind of provide us a little bit of that slasher role, like you're seeing right there. I think she had a couple and ones, nice little drive and kick right there. Because Mia and Deshauna are probably our 2 better players at attacking the basket. So without kind of having that, you know, Grace stepped in and filled that role really well. And then defensively, she gives a ton of energy. I think you've seen already her get a couple steals on the lob passes. Just trying to be all over the court. She's got such great quickness. She can cover everything fairly well, where she can be in help and also get out and challenge a shot. So it was nice to see her really step up in those probably more minutes than she's played any other game. And again, she's in pretty good shape, so she really didn't wear down either.
Obviously, here toward the end of the third quarter, continue making some plays here. A close ball game going into that final quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, we really see you kind of settle down here and make some plays defensively.
Yeah, we really did a nice job. That third quarter, I think they scored 24 points. So they did a great job getting in some things. They got us in some tougher matchups. They kind of thread the needle on some of their pass into the post players where we had done a good job for most of the game. They were really able to get it going in the third quarter, but we really did tighten up in the fourth. You know, I feel like you're going to see a lot of these passes. They try to jam in there. We got multiple people going, forcing more turnovers. Really getting out and going. It's a huge play right here to get Kenzie out in transition, and then, you know, to get kind of a 6-point lead or so with about 3 minutes to go. And then we had a great stretch with about 2.5 minutes to go where I think we had 3 or 4 offensive rebounds in a row. We couldn't cash in on the offensive possessions, but every offensive rebound we got, we were able to run 20 more seconds off the clock. So that little lead that we had right there, we really played like a veteran team to close it out down those last, that last 2 minutes of the game.
Obviously a big win. Now you close out the regular season. 2 more games here, short road trips to Davenport and Grand Valley State here this coming week.
Yeah, it's nice that they're short road trips. You know, we've got all the long ones out of the way early. You kind of like to have these ones mixed in a little in the middle of the year, but it's nice that we don't have to go too far. We get to keep sleeping in our own bed. So teams that present different challenges to us, they're obviously teams like Coach Brockman mentioned, we haven't seen since the first week of conference, just a scheduling quirk. So that film will be a little bit irrelevant, because both teams have kind of grown and developed a little bit differently as the year has gone on. Davenport has struggled a little bit as of late, and Grand Valley has obviously had it rolling. So both games are important. Try not to look beyond Thursday night all the way to Saturday, because we know Saturday will be a big game, big rivalry game that a lot of us really get up for. But Thursday night's our focus, and they've done a nice job of rebounding the basketball. They do a good job getting it inside. They do a few things that present what we do well problems. So we got to really be on our game to kind of be putting our best foot forward here this last regular season week. Obviously,
you've already clinched a spot in the GLIAC tournament, but these two games this week, along with the other games going on around the league, really going to impact the seeding for the conference tournament.
Absolutely. I took a little bit of a look at it this morning, and my head started to spin a little bit with all the different tiebreaker scenarios and things where you're at. We know we're probably the 5 or 6 seed. There's even a scenario we could end up being the 7 if we dropped both. But we're starting to kind of key in on who those potential opponents are going to be. But more importantly, just kind of messaging to our team, we're getting in that tournament mode right now. We want to make sure that we're trying to recreate those moments this last week where, every game matters, every game means something, because it's only going to be, about 1 week from tomorrow, we're going to be in that moment where when that final buzzer sounds, our season either continues or it ends. We've not put ourselves in the greatest position. We're just barely on the outside looking in for an NCAA tournament berth, that we might be a little bit too far on the outside right now with 10 losses. But we're trying to get in that tournament mode right now, get that mindset to where it has to be, because we got a lot of kids that were on this team last year that won the GLIAC tournament. So we know that we're going to be in that position again where we can be a dangerous team.
I was going to mention that going into the conference tournament, how much do you lean on some of those veterans, Mallory McCartney, Chloe Idoni, to kind of help lead some of those younger players that have they've kind of been through it before?
Oh, absolutely. You lean on those kids hard. Having those two are kind of the main two that really saw key minutes, last year in that tournament. But even going into last year's tournament, it was one of those where nothing was locked in for us. We felt pretty good about our NCAA positioning last year, but again, if we had lost the first game, you could have been done. So that mindset that they've already been through, they've seen it. And there was a lot of players on our current team that were on the bench, last year going through that run that didn't get as many minutes on the court, but they experienced it. They kind of know what it's like. Our practice this morning, there's a little bit of a heightened sense of urgency, that the teams kind of get this time of year. And I think that, you can be going in one or two directions at this time of year with our focus, and I think our focus is where it has to be.
Well, Coach, congrats on the win at Lake Superior, and best of luck against Davenport and Grand Valley State this week.
All right, thank you so much.
We'll be back with more Ferris Sports Update right after this.